Hi, everyone, and welcome to the April mentor training for mentors working with first-year teachers. So go back to that email that you found the Zoom link on and go ahead and take the time to click into the attendance link and sign in. And then we will get going. I'm busy doing something else today, so I thought it would be a good idea just to shoot out a recording to everybody rather than to expect everyone to accommodate to my schedule. So I figured a recording would fit the bill for the month. So, okay, so hopefully you got yourself signed in, and now you're looking at the April calendar. And as always, there's 3 weeks with suggested topics for discussion with your mentee. Okay, so before we dig down deeper into each one of those individual weeks, remember that you've been doing those classroom visits, and April is an opportunity for elementary teachers to see writing, and it's an opportunity for middle and high school teachers to see a third different period. So hopefully in February, elementary teachers got to see language arts, and middle high school teachers maybe got to see one period in March. Elementary hopefully got to see math, and then a different period for middle high school. And then now that we're moving into April, it would be good if elementary teachers got to see writing and middle and high school got to see another different period. And the reason behind that is different dynamics for different content areas, different dynamics for different periods. It just gives you a more holistic view of your mentees' classroom practice. Also, a big shout out. Thank you, everyone, for following the process on getting those subs, getting out of the classroom for the classroom visits. Everyone's reaching out to me with the date. Everybody's returning their sign-ins. It's really been working like clockwork this time or this school year. So I just thank you. All right, so let's start digging down deeper into those weeks. So this month, we're going to be talking about closure. I hope you have an opportunity to talk more with your mentee about closure. And you've probably become very familiar with the lesson look fors document. Now, I did put that link in the email. So if you want to click into that link, feel free. If you remember, and I'm sure, like I said, you're getting very familiar with the lesson look fors. When you go into your classroom visit, you're looking just for some key things. You know, what's the learning target? What does the teacher want students to know or be able to do? That engagement piece. How is the teacher getting students to that learning target? Checking for understanding. Did the students learn what was intended for that classroom period? And today we're going to be really digging down deeper into closure. Closure is an opportunity to reinforce the learning that just happened during the lesson or the learning period. Also, during the week of April 8th, it's a good opportunity to start with that curriculum mapping. The year just happened, so it's a perfect time to encourage your mentee to start reflecting on what just happened for the last 10 months so they can start planning for the next month, for the next school year. And last but not least, it's a good idea to set up that April visit. It's good to get a date on the calendar, set yourself up for success so you're not scrambling at the last minute to get that April classroom visit in. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about closure. The brain remembers first and last best. So forgetting to close the lesson is a missed opportunity to reinforce the learning. Sometimes that closure could just be restating the learning target, restating what you wanted students to know or be able to do during that learning period. It also could be some journaling. It could be a reflection piece. It could be an exit ticket. It could be a 3-2-1, and you'll find a link to the 3-2-1 on the email that I sent with this Zoom link, as well as the resource, 39 ways to leave a lesson. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to stop here. I'm going to let you click into 39 ways to leave a 39 ways to leave a lesson, as well as clicking into the 3-2-1. So you can just have a couple minutes to peruse the two resources that I have provided. So hopefully you had a chance to open 39 ways to leave a lesson. Hopefully you've had a chance to open up 3-2-1. What I really want you to take away from closure is that the brain remembers first and last best. So it's a good idea to leverage that, and simply restating the learning from the lesson is a perfectly good closure. Teachers using the Amplify CKLA resources, the closure piece is already done for you. And Amplify identifies closure at the end of the lessons by a wrap-up. Sometimes you might see an exit pass, but more often than not, you're going to see wrap-up. So there's a sample from first grade where there's a wrap-up at the end of the knowledge session. It actually happened to be an exit pass in the skills piece. There's a sample from third grade, and there's also a sample from fifth grade where the closure is coded as a wrap up. Are you ready, folks? Also, the work is done for you. All you have to do is find the exit ticket. So there's a sample from kinder, second, and fourth grade where the closure in the lesson is actually an exit ticket. Secondary teachers, middle and high school teachers, you have a little more flexibility on creating closure for your lessons. However, elementary teachers using CKLA and iReady, the work is done for you. So just finding the actual resource. All right. So curriculum mapping, like I said before, now is a great time to begin that process because your mentee has already run through the curriculum or the resources or the content one time. So now it's a fabulous time to start reflecting on what changes can be made for the next year. So when the new year hits, everyone hits the ground running. So the most effective time to curriculum map is really now at the end of the year. Okay, the week of April 15th. Every site has different parameters around field trips or end of the year things. I've designated this week for starting that conversation about the end of the year expectations. As veteran teachers, we know what needs to be done. However, new teachers, they really don't. So be super specific about end of the year site specific expectations, as well as starting that conversation about field trips and how your site does them. Also, this is a good week to debrief the April classroom visit. Here's another example of a lesson look for. Remember that when you're filling these out, they're not designed to be in paragraph form. They're just designed to be a phrase to help you remember what happened in the lesson. Just identifying those target pieces of the lesson. Remember that you want to fill up the what went well with as many things as you can think of. You want to cheerlead your mentee as much as possible. Fill in that box and just maybe 1 or 2 questions. So the specific example that you're looking at is the learning target was using domain-specific vocabulary. The engagement piece was highlighting vocabulary in the mentor text. The checks for understanding were just simply teacher observation in the student work. The teacher picked up the mentor text that they were highlighting vocabulary on. And the closure was a student share. Students added 3 vocabulary words in our writing. So you can see that lots of things were going well in this lesson. There was student coaching and feedback. There was proximity to students. There was the I do, we do, you do model, and there was positivity with the students. And one question, can we take a look at the student work together? So there's another example of what those lesson look-fors could look like. Now, we're going to look at a lesson together and identify the lesson look-fors. So if you have some stickies close by, maybe you might have 6 stickies, 1 for learning target, 1 for engagement, 1 for checks for understanding, 1 for closure, 1 for what went well, and 1 for questions. Or you can click into the lesson look-fors link, and you can just type onto a lesson look-fors form. It's up to you, but we're going to actually go through a lesson together and identify these lesson look-fors. Okay, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to make sure that I have the sound shared. Okay, so I definitely have the sound shared. So let's
get confused with the parts of our introduction. So we talked about there needs to be a lead, there needs to be a thesis, and 3 reasons. Now yesterday when I walked around, I saw that most people had their lead, and you guys did an awesome job with having your lead. But we got really, really confused on how to write our thesis. So today, I'm going to teach you how to angle your thesis to tell the reader what you want them to know about your informational text. So you are...
Okay, so she was very clear about what she wanted students to know or be able to do by the end of this lesson.
We're all writing about the Gold Rush, and I'm going to show you how to angle it. So, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm going to ask you to do to angle your thesis statement today. I'm going to show you first, and then we're going to try it. So, our thesis statement is really to focus our writing. We want the reader to know exactly what we want them to know about the Gold Rush. They don't have to know everything about the Gold Rush, just what we want them to know. So, you're going to angle it by telling us, how do I feel about, mine is the March on Washington. So I'm going to say, how do I feel about the March on Washington? Or what do I think about the March on Washington? This is going to help me angle my paper so that I'm giving the focus of my writing. So today I'm going to show you how you're going to do that today on your paper. So now I'm going to try it with mine. So I'll put this one up here so you can see it. So when I'm writing my content essay, you are all going to do this in your writer's notebook when we start practicing. You're going to write your thesis. So you always write on your notebook content essay first, and then I'm going to write thesis statement. Because I need to make sure that you are angling your statement. Now, I know that when I have my writer's notebook and I have my notes in my folder, I have my ahas, right? And so in my aha notes, I had lots of facts that told me lots of things about the March on Washington when I read about the March on Washington. So now I want to think, what do I want the reader to really know? And when I think about what I want them really to know, I'm going to ask myself, what do I think about the March on Washington? What do I think is important? So what I think about the March on Washington, and you're going to start with either I think or I feel. So you think I think or I feel. So I think the March on Washington, bless you. I think that the March on Washington was helpful to African Americans. Because that's what I think after reading all of my facts. That's what I think about the March on Washington. You can either choose what you think or what you feel. Now, when you are writing your thesis statement, you needed to have enough facts to support that. So this is where we got confused. We need to have what we think, so I thought it was helpful. Now, you have to have 3 important reasons, and that's why we used our notes and categorize them into our aha facts, right? So now, the next thing I'm gonna do is list my 3 reasons, but they all have to connect to my angle. What I said was that the March on Washington was helpful to African Americans, so it has to be angled there. So when I have my reasons, and then in my notebook, I'm gonna write reasons. And in my reasons, I have my first reason, one of them was here. The March on Washington gave people hope. So that told me that it was helpful to African Americans, so I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna write first, I'll write the first reason. Reason is because it gave hope. To people. Next, so that was my aha that fit was being helpful. Next, I have another one that said the March on Washington helped change the laws, and it helped African Americans. So this reason fits with my thesis. So I'm gonna write the second reason is because
So the engagement piece in this lesson is obviously modeling. She's modeled the thesis statement. Now she's modeling the reasons. So just stay with me on this video until we get to the check for understanding. She's getting there.
it brought different people together. Now, I want you to stop and I want you to notice. I need your eyes, Farmer. I need you to notice that my thesis statement is what I think or what I what? Feel about my topic. So my topic was the March on Washington. So I think the March on Washington was helpful to African Americans. Then I gave 3 reasons, and it had to be helpful to African Americans because that's what I thought. So my first reason is because it gave people hope. The second reason is because it helped change the laws. And the third reason is because it brought different people together. And that did not match my aha. Is it okay that it didn't match?
Yes.
It's okay, as long as it matches my thesis statement. Do we understand?
Yes.
Now I'm gonna have you try it. So, I want you, for your thesis statement, you're gonna think about it in your mind. It's either an I think or an I feel, and you're gonna tell your partner. So turn to your partner. You're gonna turn this way. Thank you, Farmer. And you are going to one partner hand on their head, one partner hand on your shoulder. Sabrina and Jalen, thank you for being partners. Thank you for being partners. person with your hand on your head, you're gonna go first with your thesis statement. You either start with I think or I feel about your gold rush. Go. African Americans are over 24 now. And it's the be about the gold rush.
Is that people
Okay, one statement.
Okay, so she did quite a bit of modeling, and now she's turned them loose to do some guided practice, and her check for understanding is simply just going around and listening in. And that's a perfectly okay check for understanding. And my guess is that she's targeting strategic students that she really needs to hear and make sure that they understand what the lesson was.
Okay. Don't give me the because. Just tell me what you got. Jalen, what did you say to your phone?
Because I think they
Scholars, you have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I would like to share some people's thesis statement. Now, somebody said that I think the gold rush was bad because people got shot during the gold rush. And we learned that there was a lot of violence during the gold rush time, so they would think it was bad. Some people said the gold rush, I think the gold rush was great for women because they made lots of money. So, you're going to write what you think in your thesis statement, and then you're going to find your 3 reasons in your writer's notebook. So, when you go back to your seats today, you are going to open up your writer's notebook, and you're going to write content essay, you're going to write thesis statement, and you're going to start with I think or I feel. What are the 2 things you can start with?
I think or I feel.
And then you're going to finish about the gold rush, your statement about what you think or you feel about the California gold rush. When you go.
And her closing was simply reinstating what she wanted them to know, be able to do by the end of that lesson. What should that thesis statement look like, and how do the reasons connect to that thesis statement? So again, she just reinstated the learning before she sent them off to work independently.
Go back. How?
Okay, so here's what a lesson could look like based on the lesson we just watched together. So again, the learning target was simply angling the thesis in content writing. The engagement piece was modeling. She did do a turn and talk, and she was checking for understanding by listening in. She was going into, my guess is, strategic students and checking in to make sure that they understand how to write an effective thesis statement. And the closure was restating the learning target, and she actually shared a couple of the students' thesis. What went well? She had very clear communication. I can't imagine that any of those students left that lesson not knowing what a thesis statement should look like. She had procedures for turning and talking. I saw some Kagan. It looked like a Kagan strategy to me. And the question could have been, how are you coaching into individual students to differentiate instruction? Because everybody kind of got the same in that particular lesson. Maybe she is doing some differentiation in the independent work. So that might be a question for discussion on a debrief. So this is just an example of what the lesson look for could look like. Remember, it's not designed to document everything the teacher said. It's just designed to capture key portions of the lesson. Okay, the last week, April 22nd, is, as always, reviewing the first days of school reading. So this is the last section in the book, and it connects back to the first chapter where the authors describe 4 stages in teaching: fantasy, entertaining students and being their friends; survival, keeping students busy with worksheets and things to do; mastery, effective management, instructional strategies; and impact, making a difference in students' lives. So at the end of the day, our whole goal in offering mentorship to new to profession teachers is to build teacher leaders who have positive impact on students. So what you're looking at in front of you is the big ideas from the text, some reminders that classroom management is not about discipline. It's really about organizing students so they can learn. And an effective teacher has the greatest impact on learning. It's always about the teacher. It's always about the capacity of the teacher to impact students' learning. It's not the curriculum, it's not the programs, it's not the number of students. So this is just debrief on the first days of school. Okay, so go back to your email, and there is a link to the KPBSD School Mentor Flyer. There is going to be another training for KPBSD school mentors. If you anticipate having a new to profession teacher at your school, or you have a colleague who is interested in participating in being a school mentor as well, know that there is going to be an additional training for anybody who hasn't participated in that training on May 7th. And remember that anybody working with a new to profession teacher in their first year gets a $2,000 payment. And so if you know anybody who's interested, feel free to forward this flyer to them. And last but not least, our last Mentor Zoom is on May 2nd of next month. And I wish you a fabulous month of April, and feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or concerns. Bye-bye now.